At exactly 2:34 a.m. local time, inside the command vehicle of the 568 Anti-Aircraft Regiment near Belgorod, a Russian lieutenant stares at the glowing green sweep of his radar. He takes a sip of stale coffee. He feels safe. He believes he is sitting inside the Iron Dome of the North, a fortress protected by the most advanced air defense system on the planet. He is wrong. As you look at this footage, you aren't just seeing an explosion. You are witnessing the systematic dismantling of a superpower's shield. We are talking about the destruction of two S-400 Triumph batteries in a single night. A catastrophic loss, now confirmed by satellite imagery and furious Russian military bloggers. These were the crown jewels, systems designed to hunt stealth fighters. Yet tonight, they are exploding on their own launch pads, victims of the very threat they were designed to eliminate. Now, skepticism is natural here. In the fog of war, claims of such massive damage often turn out to be exaggeration. But this time, the evidence is undeniable. Satellite imagery obtained the next morning confirms the scorching patterns on the ground. Even prominent Russian military bloggers, usually quick to deny losses, were forced to admit the disaster, posting angry tributes to the fallen crews. This is not propaganda. This is a strategic catastrophe. But before we get into the details of the chaos in Belgorod, we must turn our eyes south. Because what is happening in Crimea isn't just a strike, it is an eviction notice. The Crimean Peninsula is no longer the attractive vacation spot it seems to be from afar. It is transformed into a high-tech kill zone where Russia's most valuable assets, the S-400s and the MiG-31's interceptors carrying hypersonic Kinzhal missiles, are being hunted to extinction. Ukraine's intention is no longer just to harass, it is to retake. Nightmarish moments are unfolding at the Kremlin. In just a matter of days, the shield has lost 3 S-400 batteries and a strategic heavy interceptor. The question is no longer, can Russia defend Crimea? The question is, how long until the sky is empty? Let's rewind to the night of December 19th. At the Belbek Air Base in occupied Crimea, the air is thick with the smell of aviation fuel, freezing salt spray, and the ozone of high-powered radars. This base is the fist of the Black Sea Fleet. It projects power across the entire region. But tonight, the fist is being broken. According to sources within the security service of Ukraine, the operation launched that night was surgically aimed at Russia's eyes. The first targets were not the runways or the fuel tanks. They were the Nebo SVU radars. To understand the gravity of this loss, you have to understand the machine. The Nebo SVU isn't just an ordinary radar. It is a massive, phased array complex costing $120 million each. It stands as tall as a building. Russia brags about it as the Ghost Plane Hunter, a system designed specifically to detect stealth technology like the F-35 or the F-22. And that is exactly the problem. The Nebo SVU was looking for a fighter jet moving at Mach 1. It was not looking for a swarm of plastic drones moving at 110 miles per hour. A swarm of Ukrainian UAVs, flying low and silent, detected the massive electromagnetic emissions of the Nebo SVU. They rode the signal down like a wire. Impact. The warheads didn't just break antennas, they lobotomized the air defense of the entire peninsula. When these powerful electronic brains were destroyed, Russian airspace control over Crimea was effectively shut down. The operators in the command bunkers were left staring at static screens, blind in a room full of enemies. With the eyes gouged out, the SBU moved to the kinetic phase of the operation. The target shifted to the 92N6 Gravestone fire control radar. If the Nebo SVU is the long-range eye, the Gravestone is the sniper scope. It is the component of the S-400 Triumph system that actually locks onto the target and guides the missile to the kill. Without the 92N6, an S-400 battery is just a collection of expensive trucks loaded with high explosives. They cannot track, they cannot lock, they cannot fire. A drone slammed into the radar array, turning $65 million of sophisticated electronics into a burning wreck of twisted metal and silicon. This reveals a critical flaw in Russian doctrine. The S-400 didn't fail because it is weak. It failed because it is misused. It was designed to fight a high-altitude war against NATO. It was never designed to fight a knife fight against the $600 drone in its own backyard. The export value of the radar alone suggests the scale of the loss, but the strategic cost is infinite. You cannot replace a Gravestone radar overnight. It takes months to build, calibrate, and deploy. But the damage didn't stop at the ground systems. On the runway, a MiG-31 Foxhound was waiting, fully loaded for combat. This is not a standard dogfighter. This huge, twin-engine interceptor is one of the few platforms capable of carrying the KH-47M2 Kinzhal hypersonic missile. It is a strategic asset worth over $50 million. During the attack, shrapnel from the drone strikes tore through its fuselage and avionics. OSINT analysts have verified the damage through leaked photos from the tarmac. A damaged MiG-31 is a grounded MiG-31. Russia cannot launch a retaliatory hypersonic strike with a broken jet. And planning a repair mission in a base under constant drone surveillance is illogical. In one night, estimates indicate Russia suffered losses exceeding $250 million. But the SBU wasn't finished. While the smoke was still rising over Belbek, the map expanded north, deep into the Russian hinterland. We moved to the Belgorod region, near the village of Ryevka. Here, the 568th Anti-Aircraft Missile Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces was stationed. They thought they were safe. They were the ones who knocked threats out of the sky. They were the hunters. But tonight, the hunters became the prey. According to verified data from the Ukrainian General Staff, drones located the regiment's position. 2 S-400 launchers, fully loaded with long-range interceptor missiles, were targeted. These launchers are massive beasts, carrying 4 sealed tubes, each containing a missile capable of hitting a target 250 miles away. But that range means nothing if you can't see the knife coming for your throat. The drone impact didn't just destroy the truck, it triggered the solid rocket fuel in the S-400's own missiles. Boom! The resulting fireball was massive, a testament to the volatility of the weapons involved. The ammunition meant to kill Ukrainian jets ended up vaporizing Russian crews. The destruction of these launchers proves that Russian air superiority near the border is a fairy tale. It is a myth printed on paper but burned in reality. Ukraine has shown it can peel back the air defense layers along a line stretching hundreds of miles, picking off the most expensive systems at will. These attacks provide technical proof of a terrifying reality for Moscow. The concept of Russian air defense has become obsolete. The Russian doctrine is built on layers. The long-range S-400 is supposed to be protected by medium-range Buk systems, which are in turn protected by short-range Pantsir S-2 systems. The Pantsir is the bodyguard. It is designed specifically to shoot down the cheap drones that threaten the expensive S-400s. But at Belbek, the bodyguard died. The Pantsir S-2, a system worth about $20 million, failed to provide protection. In fact, it was destroyed itself. This is the ultimate failure of doctrine. If the shield cannot protect the sword, and the shield cannot even protect itself, then the entire multi-layered defense architecture has collapsed. Russia is now fighting a modern drone war with a mindset from the 1980s, and the price is being paid in burning hardware. Let's stop for a moment and look at the ripple effect. How does helplessness in the air lead to disaster at sea? It is simple. When air defense fails, ports and ships become open targets. The sky is the roof. If the roof leaks, the house floods. On the same day as the Crimea attack, Ukrainian drones penetrated deep into Russia to strike the Novoshakhtinsk oil products terminal, the heart of energy logistics in the south. Simultaneously, in Rostov-on-Don, the Russian tanker Valery Gorchakov was hit. Photos from the next morning show the stern almost completely submerged, the ship listing heavily in the freezing water. This ship wasn't just carrying oil, it was carrying the fuel meant for the Russian transport network. It was a node in the logistical web. We need to think about the implications of this. In your own territorial waters, in areas considered the safest rear guard, your tankers are being sunk. Your premier air defense systems are exploding from their own ammunition. This is a scenario of total chaos. The Russian rear is no longer the rear. It is the front line. The side effect of these attacks isn't just the loss of military hardware. It is a virus of distrust spreading among Russian pilots and sailors. Imagine being a pilot at the Belbek base. You walk past the charred remains of the S-400 radar that was supposed to cover you. You see the damaged MiG-31 that can't fly. You realize that the systems you trusted most, the systems the propaganda told you were invincible, have failed. This realization is poison. It triggers insubordination. It causes hesitation. And in modern war, a demoralized force is a defeated force. Ukraine's strategy is systematically putting Russia in a fatal dilemma. Option A. Pull the S-400s and S-500s back to protect strategic cities like Moscow and ports like Novorossiysk. This leaves the frontline troops in Ukraine completely defenseless against HIMARS and airstrikes. Option B. Keep the systems at the front to cover the trenches. This leaves the capital, the refineries, and the air bases wide open to long-range drone strikes. Both options are a recipe for disaster for the Kremlin. There are simply not enough S-400s to cover the largest country on Earth. Russia has tried to answer this disaster with a new narrative. Defense Minister Andrei Belousov announced that a regiment equipped with the S-500 Prometheus system has entered combat service. On paper, the S-500 is a marvel of engineering. It is designed to hit long-range targets, including low-orbit satellites and ballistic missiles in near space. The radar architecture reportedly allows for the detection of targets from 1,100 miles away. But we must look at this critically. The S-400 was also hyped as invincible, yet it sits burning in a field in Belgorod. The S-500 faces the same physics problem. It is a system designed to kill hypersonic missiles and satellites. It is not designed to track a slow-moving plastic drone flying 52 feet off the ground. If it follows the same doctrine as its predecessor, it risks the same fate. Deploying the S-500 now feels less like a strategic evolution and more like desperation, bringing a prototype to a gunfight because the production models are failing. But what we are seeing today is just the preview. On the other side of the line, the Ukrainian army is not relying on hype. They are relying on brutal, effective evolution. Ukraine has acquired dozens of heavy ultra drones. These massive UAVs, manufactured in the UK, are capable of transporting loads up to 340 pounds over distances exceeding 600 miles. While officially used for resupply missions, their potential as strike platforms is terrifying for Russia. Imagine a drone that can fly from Kharkiv to Moscow, carrying a warhead the size of a bomb. These drones can bypass the front lines entirely, delivering heavy ordnance to logistical hubs deep inside Russia. This is the next phase of the war. In short, the picture is clear. The Russian military machine is bleeding. They are running out of cards to play, resorting to nuclear rhetoric because their conventional deterrence has failed. The so-called Iron Dome over Belgorod and Crimea hasn't just cracked, it has shattered. Not with a single dramatic collapse, but piece by piece, system by system, assumption by assumption. Somewhere on a Crimean airbase tonight, a Russian pilot walks past the twisted wreckage of a radar dish that was supposed to protect him. The metal is still warm, the cables are still smoking. He stops for a moment and looks up at the dark, empty sky above him. And for the first time, he understands something no briefing ever prepared him for. No one is watching the sky for him anymore. The shield is gone. The warning time is gone. The illusion of safety is gone. What remains is exposure. For decades, Russia built its military power around the belief that air defense equals control, that if you own the sky, you own the battlefield. But this war is proving something far more dangerous. In the age of cheap drones, adaptive tactics, and relentless iteration, control is temporary. Ukraine isn't trying to win by outspending Russia, it's winning by outthinking it. Every destroyed S-400 is more than a loss of hardware, it's a loss of confidence. Every blinded radar is an invitation. Every burning launcher forces Moscow into an impossible choice. Protect the front or protect the homeland, but never both. So the real question now isn't whether Russia can replace these systems, it's whether the idea behind them still works at all. Will Vladimir Putin fight on until the last S-400 is a burning wreck in a field, sacrificing strategic defense just to maintain a frozen stalemate? Or will Ukraine succeed in dismantling the air shield entirely, forcing negotiations not through diplomacy, but through inevitability? Because one thing is now undeniable: the sky over Russia is no longer safe. The rear is no longer the rear, and the ground below is already burning. Let me know your analysis in the comments below. If you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, where battlefield tactics collide with grand strategy, make sure to subscribe. In the next file, we'll examine where the shield breaks next.